And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Monday, October 27th. Almost ready to close out the month of October already. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. Good morning. How about good afternoon, Bridgette? How was your weekend?
Dandy fine. Yes. So a little bit cool and windy. The wind has died down somewhat today.
Yeah, a little bit. Still on the breezy side, but man, nothing like the weekend. We had some winds on Sunday approaching 50 across much of the area. And today we're looking at breezy conditions, but now we have an area of low pressure that's bringing some rain into the area, and that will continue on and off throughout the afternoon. It'll probably increase a little bit in coverage as we head into the evening hours, and then as we head towards tomorrow morning, start to taper off again. So we'll call it for... We'll call for scattered showers for the rest of the day. Temperatures steady in the 50s with southeast winds at about 15 to 30 and gusty. Showers continue overnight tonight down into the low 40s. And for Tuesday, rain comes to an end in the morning, then breezy northwest winds with highs around 50. And we'll stay right around 50 for Wednesday and Thursday before a little clipper system brings a few rain and snow showers for your Halloween, with temperatures dropping back into the 40s. No big storms on the horizon, no big Arctic outbreaks. That's good news. I mean, you know, we've had Halloweens around here where it can get pretty icy and dicey, but that won't be the case this year. But I'll tell you what they're dealing with in or about to deal with in Jamaica, the strongest hurricane they have ever seen on record. It's a Cat 5 hurricane right now with winds gusting 175. And we're looking at there's going to be a lot of devastation to the island of Jamaica. The highest winds right now look to be in the western third of the island, and then flooding rains across most of the island with up to 30 inches of rain expected. I can't even fathom that with, again, hurricane force winds with the strongest winds over the western third of the island. So there's going to be a lot of destruction down there. Bridgette, what kind of agriculture? Do they have any agriculture that's big in Jamaica?
One that's been illegal in many states here in the United States.
But we know that.
Yeah, but they have food production down there. They have tropical fruits. They have rubber trees. Those types of things that have long been production in that country. Tourism is certainly their highest area of income. Now, along those lines, if you have heard that they're going to have a Cat 5 hurricane, you're thinking, I've already lived through hurricanes, or at least derechos in this area, and I don't want to go through that, but I would like someplace nice. Well, we have a guest joining us today, and that is Kelly. Kelly, she is a retirement mortgage specialist with Fairway Mortgage, and she's going to talk to us about some things going on over at Heritage Homes, because we realize that farmers and ranchers might be ready to relax, get closer to town. Kelly, there is a training style event coming up. What can you tell us about it?
Yes, I'm super excited. It's an event all about right-sizing that home without compromising anything, and mentioning, farmers and ranchers ready to relax, maybe be closer to kids, grandkids, closer in town. The Ranch of the Wilds is an amazing community that offers just luxury retirement living with so many amenities. And I'm also a certified senior advisor. And where you live has a huge impact on your physical, mental, and financial health in retirement. And the H for P, or HECM for purchase, is a loan for people 62 and better in age, and it allows them to buy more house with less cash and have no required mortgage payment. Let me say that again, no required mortgage payment. So that's just, it's phenomenal, and it's the best kept secret. And we like to say at Fairway, make memories, not mortgage payments. That's what retirement is about. That's what this lifestyle loan and lifestyle living is about. And I'm super excited to be sharing tomorrow night, 4:30 to 6:30 at the Ranch at the Wilds Clubhouse, located at 835 Rainier Way West, across from Legacy Elementary. And come on out if you're thinking, hey, I've seen that community. I just don't know if that could work because I've got this low interest rate mortgage I don't want to give up, or I don't think I have enough cash. The HECM for purchase is a game changer, and it can fill that gap. And it's just an option that you need to know about.
Are there any specifics to that, Kelly? Like, are there only certain people that can qualify for that?
So great question. So you've got to be, the minimum age is 62. So it's 62, and I
Shoot.
like to say yes, I right, but if you're like, I've talked to many people in their mid 50s, or it's a great way to plan. How can I plan now? What can I do now to get there? And when I can qualify for the loan. But I've got 3 daughters, and I always say we get better with age. Hopefully you guys agree with me, Dean and Bridgette. We get better with age. So you always hear me say 62 and
Amen.
better in age,
There you go.
right? And it's we want to enjoy that better retirement, which the HECM for purchase allows. And we always feel the more options, right? Know all your options. A well-informed buyer is a better buyer. And it'll be a great training to ask questions and just see what could work for you.
But also, you've got some folks that are looking at turning over the farm to the next generation, and they're looking
Yeah.
for a different place to live. They might want to be
Yes.
thinking about downsizing and not having to worry about lawn care, snow removal, all that. So those are some of the benefits that you've got with these ranch communities by Heritage Homes as well. So really
Oh,
a great
definitely.
spot, and it sounds like financing fits very well into what people might be doing, Kelly.
Exactly. And there are so many benefits to this loan. It's a tool to put in your toolbox for retirement. It can provide future tax advantages, protections. When we look at our health changes, if a nursing home came into play, there's protections with this loan. So there's so much. Most people are like, wow, I had no idea. So I'm super excited for tomorrow night, because it'll just be eye-opening. And I invite everyone to come and just ask questions, just see what it's about. And in the Midwest here and in North Dakota, winter is a thing, right? Winter doesn't sound so bad compared to what's going on in Jamaica, right? We can count our blessings, but we're in our homes. We're in our homes more. We spend a lot of time in our home in the winter, and to have a community where you might feel like, hey, I want to be social and get together with some friends. You can go to the clubhouse. You could walk to the clubhouse, to get out. We have those winter days where we need to get out of the house. And when the weather's nice, of course, there's a pickleball in the pool, but it's kind of like your vacation resort where you live, is how I see it.
Well, I just had a conversation with my sister last night about moving. Her son got married, moving the kid stuff all out of your house. You know what? If you've done
Yes.
that, but it's time to get rid of even more, maybe you're thinking about downsizing and out of your large farmhouse, this might be another opportunity that Kelly presents to you. So, again, where's
Exactly.
your training session, Kelly? And what are things people should be
Yes.
noting for importance for tomorrow?
Yeah. So 4:30 to 6:30 tomorrow night at the ranch at the
Mhm.
Wilds Clubhouse, which is across from Legacy Elementary, which is the actual address, 835 Rainier Way West. I'm tongue-tied, guys. Sorry. I guess I can't say way
Okay.
west together. But yes, 835 Rainier Way West tomorrow night, 4:30 to 6:30. There'll be a tour of the homes, refreshments, snacks, and and I'll be giving a training on let's dive into this loan. Here's what the loan offers. Here's the benefits. Here's the protections. Here's the basics. And then, of course, offering opportunities for potential buyers, borrowers, anyone that attends to ask questions. We're really going to make it a freestyle after we go over some of the basics of the loan. And I would encourage anyone who's ever thought about what that, home looks like in retirement, or their dream home, or you don't have to be retired. Many of my clients aren't retired. They're working, and we have so many options just to really make that move and make it now. So I'm super excited. So tomorrow night, I hope to see a bunch of y'all at 4:30.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Much appreciated for that detail. Now, for those who want to know if they can afford to retire, you're going to want to pay attention to the American Ag Network. Next, we're going to get the livestock market. But then afterwards, we had a chance to visit with Melinda Goodman. She's bringing forward a brand new magazine called Edible North Dakota. I'm excited to talk about this because I think there's a lot of great things that have that tie back to farming, to agriculture, to our small communities, and truly the roots of what we do here in North Dakota. We'll be right back. Got questions? Want to make sure they get answered today? We're going to need you to give us a call on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. And especially if you are unable to watch us via the live stream, which you can follow on Facebook, YouTube, or Acres TV, we'd want you to drop us an email and let us know. And you can do that weather or ag at flagfamily.com. There's a lot going on coming up here in November. We will be starting a new segment with Hanson Agri-Commodities. Every Friday, we will be doing a market recap. So be looking forward to that within our Friday hour. And then also November 5th, if you haven't already marked that date on your calendar, it will be our WDAY Radio Farm Show starting at 8:30 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd love to see your aerial farm photos. Those days when someone flew over and took a picture and then drove by your farm a week or two later and showed you what those pictures look like and you could buy those decorative frames, well, now's the time to show them off. Snap a photo, send them to me again at ag@flagfamily.com. Would love to have them. The same, we'd like to have our guest on today, and Melinda Goodman is joining us from the publishing offices, if you will, of Edible North Dakota. Melinda is a lifelong North Dakotan who is bringing a new product to market. So, Melinda, tell us about you first.
Hey, how are you, Bridgette? Um, well, I am just a farm girl from North Dakota, rancher's daughter. And sure enough, 30 years later, I have spent my career at the intersection of agriculture and food marketing. And I had this moment of like, I picked up edible magazines all over the country, had thought about it, hadn't really realized that this was an opportunity to bring one to North Dakota until I one day asked the question in the edible community, hey, how come North Dakota doesn't have one? And their answer was because nobody's done one. And I was like, I guess that might need to be me. And so I took my marketing agency experience and all that time on farms around the country and all of my food marketing experience and said, let's start telling the stories in North Dakota.
You know, even before we talk about the magazine, your career trajectory has taken you to places such as citrus and so forth. And can you talk just a little bit about that industry? Because it's not something we hear about here every day. And when you worked within those organizations, were you working directly with the farm? Were you more of working on the processor end? What did that look like?
Sure. So I joke and say potatoes were actually my gateway drug to the fresh produce industry in the majority of my career. Uh, I mean, it's the truth. It ended up out of college. I started in the small grains industry, and then I ended up working for the potato industry here in North Dakota. And a few months into my job, I ended up at what was at the time the Produce Marketing Association trade show. And I walked into a trade show that had 20,000 some people, including the likes of Sunkist and Dole and Fresh Express. And if there's a name that you know in fresh produce that you see in the fresh produce department, those were the people that were there. And it changed how I thought about agriculture. North Dakota for me had been small grains and row crops and cattle, and next thing you know I was in specialty crops in a way that I hadn't even imagined them before. And sure enough, a few years later I was recruited down to Texas and I lived on the Mexican border, working directly with the producer. So the same way that we would have a commodity board here in North Dakota for cattle or dairy or grains, I was doing the same thing for the Texas citrus industry. And that was being out in the orchards with them, better understanding their challenges, their research needs, and ultimately their marketing needs. And that's a lot of what I've spent the last 25 plus years of my career. It's taken me to Colombia to learn about avocados, to Georgia to learn about onions, Washington for apples, and I could go through the list, but it's an entirely different way to be able to see the product that you work with is as close to what the consumer will buy in the store as it is the day it comes out of the field.
Hey, Melinda, what is the biggest, out of all your 20 plus years, what's the biggest misconception you think that the public has compared to reality?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same really for every part of agriculture. I think don't know where their food comes from. They have assumptions based on what somebody on social media told them, and that every farmer out there, whether it's a rancher, whether it's a citrus grower, whether it's the small grains industry, that those guys are all getting rich. And the reality is, I don't know that there's a lot of people in the food business getting super rich, particularly not the farmers and ranchers. And it's a really, really hard business. And uh, you know, every farmer or rancher, regardless of what crop they grow, they have a family too, and they really do consider it a noble cause. If they were doing it to get rich, they probably would have gotten rich and sold out already. They keep doing it because they really do love it.
As you think about the changes you've watched in that food industry, are you seeing heavy amounts of consolidation when it comes to citrus and onions and other fresh vegetable and markets, as well as we see in other areas of agriculture?
Absolutely, fresh produce. So I could take the apple industry as a great example. We could go back probably 5 to 6 years in the apple industry in Washington State, obviously the largest producer of apples in the country, and 70% of the apple industry was family owned, with maybe 30% in private equity. Today, that's flipped. So today, 70% of the Apple industry is owned by private equity, and 30% is still family owned. And then we look at something like citrus, and everybody's heard the word wonderful, wonderful over the years, which you maybe equate to things like your pistachios or your almonds that you eat. But the Wonderful Company
Hmm.
is the largest producer of citrus across North America.
There's so many fascinating aspects that we, like you said, we don't even touch on or think about here, whether it's with fresh citrus, with potatoes, etc. And your background has taken you to a variety of places and shown you some big differences, but yet you came right back to North Dakota. And now we're going to highlight food. And we're going to do that when we return from the news. We want to make sure to talk about Edible North Dakota, an upcoming magazine, how we can get a hold of it, what's been going into it for stories, and most importantly, what we can do to help promote it right here in the state. So we will return after the news. We've got a new sponsor. Superior Grain Equipment is sponsoring our inbox. So if you send an email to me, ag@flagfamily, or one to Dean, weather@flagfamily.com, Superior Grain Equipment is taking care of that for us. Protect your farm's future with Superior Grain Storage, Drying, and Handling Solutions, and you can find them at superiorbind.com. Also, I am in the process of scheduling our November intern, our Assistant Ag Director, sponsored by Cass County Farm Bureau. If you have students who are a sophomore in high school to a sophomore in college, and they could spend a day on the radio with Dean and I, asking questions, interviewing guests, and so much more, we'd love to have them. Reach out, and again, that is sponsored to us by the Cass County Farm Bureau. Our guest joining us today is Melinda Goodman, and Melinda is bringing forward a new magazine for those of us here in North Dakota where some of our favorite things are food. I mean, I don't have a lot of skills, but eating's one of them, so this is right up my alley. Melinda, fill us in on the details. What's going on with this magazine?
Well, I think Bridgette, you're fibbing a little bit that your skill is more eating than it is cooking. I mean, I've seen some of the pictures online of your gardening prowess, your canning prowess, your baking prowess that your neighbors always get the luxury of taking advantage of. But yeah, I think this is the beauty of it, right? Like everybody's connected to food every single day. Whether we are the eater, whether we're the farmer, whether we're the chef, whether we're the grocery store, 3 times a day, we all eat at least 3 times a day. In my case, probably a lot more than that with snacks. But the beauty is, food is, the polarizing part of food is, do you like cilantro? It's not, we don't have the things that divide us. And the beauty of Edible North Dakota is we get to bring people together around the table and between the pages of the magazine to celebrate food, whether that's in recipes, whether it's learning about a deep dive issue in our food systems, or learning about new businesses, new restaurants, or getting closer to the stories about the men and women who produce our food. I'm just so excited to bring that all together. I joke and say, I think Edible North Dakota will be part guidebook, part recipe book, um, part storybook, and almost a little bit love letter.
And Melinda, I'll say back in the day, when we were younger, we were taught a lot of this in school. Where does our food come from, the food chain, all of that. Are kids learning that now, or is this more dependent on people like you to educate the general public that we're not being properly educated anymore?
I think it's beholden on all of us to realize and take responsibility for telling the story about where food comes from and how it's produced. We all have maybe gotten farther away from our food than are expected. That's the beauty of living in a world where we have abundance when it comes to food choices. I'm a firm advocate for local foods, for fresh foods, for organic foods, whatever you choose to eat. That is the beauty of choice. And like that is a luxury we can have to advocate for one or the other when we have choices. But that's what people need to learn to understand. And right now, a lot of the food information that people get is via anywhere from 30-second to 2-minute conversations on social media. An influencer somewhere else who's maybe never been on a farm or who isn't deeply integrated into food systems is telling people their choices they should make. They're telling them they should eat organic. They're telling them they can only eat local. Um, Bananas aren't my favorite food, but I hope that when I want a banana, I can eat one. If we only eat local, we're not going to get to eat bananas really anytime because we don't grow bananas in North Dakota. At the same time, I want to buy my beef locally as a rancher's daughter. But at the same time, I know that not every consumer has that choice. And this is that opportunity for people to be more informed about how food is produced and where it comes from so they can make choices that are wholly their own.
This isn't your grandma's like Women's Day or Ladies Home Journal. This is about focusing on the whole system, right? So I know you were doing a story on a local distillery, and so you get the opportunity to talk about the grain coming from in-state, what that process looks like, and how people can take pleasure in enjoying that too. So it's really it's not just one item story. I feel like you take the whole background on an item and show us everything.
Yeah, so it's hard to deep dive into every single detail of a food manufacturing process, but the idea is, I mean, just as I started editorial planning, I think there are 12 pages of story ideas at this point for North Dakota. And that's not even scratching the surface of story ideas. Like, we joked and said there we could probably tell stories for the next 50 years about food systems in North Dakota and food produced in North Dakota and not be able to get to all the stories. Coming up in our first issue, coming out November 15th, our feature story is going to be about how food shapes our holiday traditions, particularly based on our immigrant ancestors. So you'll get to hear a little bit of the food, or read a little bit about the foodways from Germans from Russia, as well as our Scandinavian ancestors, and the things that they had in their home countries that they brought over here or adapted based on North Dakota's rich agricultural landscape. Whether you're maybe reading about kuchen or rumagrout, German ideas. I mean, Bridgette, you're home of the famous Wysocki sausage, so there's definitely stories to tell. At the same time, we have a feature on proof distillers. Who It's exciting when we sat down and talked with Joel Kath, and he talked about his idea that we have everything that we need for good spirits right here in North Dakota, particularly because of our rich agricultural background and our great crops and the partners that he has in that process. I joked and said potatoes were my gateway drug to the fresh produce industry. Well, in this issue, we also feature Freddie's lefse. So lots of potatoes go into the amount of lefse we eat all year long, and this rich 70-year-old business that is the largest national lefse distributor in the United States, based right here in North Dakota. We'll have some recipes. We will have our what we call our plates and pours, bakers and makers section, which will feature anything from cottage businesses to restaurants and bars throughout North Dakota and each of the 6 regions. Every issue, there's always going to be something. I want people to feel like no matter what corner of the state they're in, there's a little piece of themselves that they will find in one of the stories. And in doing so, we're also looking for people to submit stories for us. If you have a story idea, they can send it in to us. If they want to be a writer, or a photographer, just like you, we'll take contributors. So that we're looking for
Yeah.
people to be part of the conversation.
Move over, Guy Fieri. I think this is going to be the way to find out where to eat in North Dakota from now on.
I mean,
all right,
church suppers or anything else is the case.
Okay, so some business type questions. Where can people buy individual issues, or is it a subscription situation? And let's say, because I have 5 sisters and sister-in-laws, how do I get multiple gift subscriptions coming up for Christmas? Now they all know.
Sure. Yeah, they're not listening today. That was meant for someone else. No, so there are multiple ways to find the magazine. So the magazine will be free through distribution throughout North Dakota. Hopefully, you will find it in small towns and large towns across the state. So you can look for it in a variety of businesses. You'll be able to look at the digital copy online on our website, and you'll also be able to subscribe. So at ediblenorthdakota.com. You can go and visit, and you can pick up a subscription, which will be 5 issues a year. So for our first out of the gate, Holiday 2025 lands on November 15th. So your first subscription will cover all of next year plus our inaugural holiday issue. They are available for $42 per year. And you can fill that out, pay online, enter the address, and your first issue will ship on November 15th. Or you can, of course, go out and, like I said, find the list of where they're at, visit those businesses, which we encourage you to do. This is an advertiser-supported magazine as well, so we want you to discover new products, new restaurants, new businesses throughout North Dakota, and spend your dollars locally, because we have a lot of great small businesses around North Dakota that are part of our food culture.
Okay, I'm going to have to get those multiple gift subscriptions taken care of, so circling that note. But then when folks are looking at the digital copy, or when they get their first copy and they want to say, how excited they were to get it and what they read and learned. Is there a hashtag we should be following and using when we're posting about it on Facebook or wherever?
I'm going to lean into the idea that we shouldn't be creating something new. We should probably hashtag Pride of Dakota anytime that we're sharing stuff. We want to support our local businesses, which people are already finding North Dakota products through Pride of Dakota, and let's not recreate the wheel. Let's celebrate the things that already exist and make sure we amplify the places we're already talking about North Dakota food. This is just one more way to do that in a way that elevates and lifts people up in the food business. And I think every small business across North Dakota, every restaurant could use one more person to stop in. Every rancher that sells local beef could have one more person place an order for a steak or a quarter of beef. Every Pride of Dakota company could require one more person to just jump in and place one more of those gift orders.
I'm all about promoting what goes on in this state, and I love the fact that we're talking about food, agriculture, all of it tied together because this truly is our heritage. And the fact that your first issue is going to talk about how we shape holidays, you said think about Wysocki sausage. My first thought was red eye, but sure, it'll be both of them are good.
I think that's not on the editorial list, but maybe some of those homemade spirits could go on the list for future reference as well.
That's right, and taste testing is highly encouraged. So, all right, Melinda, where can folks look to find you, your magazine, and just if they want to do business in general and talk more about Melinda Goodman?
Sure. So I'd love for people to go online to ediblenorthdakota.com. And while they're there, the full site will be online when the full magazine launches on November 15th. But in the meantime, they can certainly click and subscribe to the magazine, follow our social media as well. If you want to look us up on social media, both Facebook or Instagram, you can find us at Edible ND Magazine. It's a great place to connect, and there'll always be new content and new stories as we get underway. Of course, if you have stories that you want to share, you can submit them online. Or if you're an advertiser who says, I want to get in front of people who are connected to North Dakota food, you can certainly reach out to us and we will get you secured for upcoming magazines.
And Melinda, before you go, our producer Addison was wondering, where did you get that picture behind you of the cow? We want to get him that now for Christmas. He is in love
I'm a fan.
with that picture. Where did you get it?
So I actually did buy that in Ireland a few years ago.
Sorry, Addison.
Yeah, actually, it still is online because I have had several people comment on it. But
Okay.
the rancher's daughter can't pass up the cow. So that is an image that I bought from a local artist when I was in the country areas of Ireland a few years
Awesome.
ago. So I will send the link to Bridgette. And again, don't tell
Yep.
anybody else what you're getting them for Christmas.
No.
All the secrets are spilled today, all of them.
Yeah.
Well, Melinda, thank you so much for joining us today on Weather and Ag in Focus. And when we come back, we're going to touch on our forecast. We do have some rain, but how much and where is heaviest rain going to fall? We'll have that and a few ag topics when we come back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:53 in the afternoon. Temperatures outside 50 degrees. And we do have some scattered showers on radar across the area. Nothing really heavy. The heaviest rain, let's see on radar now, stretching from about Carrington up through New Rockford and up towards Devil's Lake. There's another batch of some moderate rain just south of Mayville, stretching up northward up towards, just east or just west of the Grand Forks area. All of it moving south to north, and the whole system is slowly moving east. Now we'll see more showers kind of filling into the southwest of the FM area. That's where our weather is going to be coming from until this system moves to our east tomorrow morning. Now, total rainfall out of this in the valley and lakes country, up to a ½ inch is possible. So not a whole lot. The further south you go and southwest of the FM area you go, the lesser the amounts. The heavier amounts are going to be from about Jamestown to Bismarck and northeastward through the northwest corner of the state, or northeast corner of the state, just to the west of Grand Forks, where some of those areas could pick up to 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So again, some of those areas that were hardest hit a couple of weeks ago, Bridgette, unfortunately, they're going to get the heaviest rain this go around as well, while the rest of us are left with about a 1/4 inch, some spots maybe a half.
We've got some fields that no one's getting back into, whether it comes to soil sampling or combining, until we get a hard freeze and the ground is frozen. We're just at that point.
Yeah, and
we'll get back in there.
Yeah, I just don't see a hard freeze. I mean, we've got a few 20s in the forecast about a week from now, but other than that, that hard freeze, I'm not seeing it. It's been a kind of a mild end of fall here as we turn the corner into November.
It's been a push. Folks have really been pushing to get combining done prior to this wind and rain coming in. Saw a lot of machines on the go in the last couple of days. So if you finished, yeehaw, congratulations. To those who aren't quite done yet, I know that the push is still on. Now, as we think ahead about spring, and it's already time to do that, it's time to even think about updating GPS. Farmers who use a local RTK network or a state-run real-time network, RTN, and in some states, both those signals are offered. And if you're using that for your auto steer or your GPS guidance system, you're going to want to recapture new GPS coordinates for field boundaries and your AB lines before spring planting. The National Geodetic Survey will soon replace 2 outdated reference frames, an NAD83 and an NAVD88, with new connections data. And so that shift could knock your current AB lines and GPS field boundaries off anywhere from 1 to 4 meters. And that is information coming from some Iowa State precision ag specialists. Now, farmers using major commercial satellite RTK networks like John Deere or Trimble should be okay for 2026. But farmers who need to make quick updates to field boundaries, those AB lines, etc., check the potential impact to your existing telematic data this winter. And you can use the free NGS Coordinate Conversion and Transformation Tool, NCAT. And that will shift your coordinates from where they were on the 83 and 88 to where they need to be. Now, if all of this sounds like a lot, you can email me again. That is now the Superior Grain Equipment inbox, ag@flagfamily.com, and I will make sure to send you the link to this information so you can get it done. You want to consider physically recollecting GPS coordinates for field boundaries, control points, or benchmarks using a system aligned to the new datum, and recalculating your historical data using an updated reference point or transformation software. So at least we know that's coming. Last week when the Amazon web services went down, that took a lot of other web services. There were a number of apps that weren't working correctly, etc. Quite a few farmers found that that was also the case with their John Deere Operations Center on their John Deere software. They were able to keep combining, but they couldn't upload information into John Deere Ops. And if you had a feature to recall your grain cart through John Deere Ops, it wasn't able to use that functionality. So sometimes these things happen, but here we at least have a little bit of heads up on these GPSs. Again, if you're using Trimble or John Deere Ops, you're probably okay. But for some of those others, you might want to have a discussion with your precision technician Or again, you can drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'll send you what you need to know. Glad to help.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today on Weather and Ag in Focus. And don't go anywhere, though. Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.